Right, this one's going to be another longer video because I'm going to try and cover my entire process for estimating renovation costs on doer-upper properties before I put the offer in. This is something I get asked quite a bit in my one-to-ones. How do you even start estimating what a new bathroom, kitchen or carpets may cost without getting formal quotes? I think the best way to answer this question is by taking you through a real example, and the one that I'm going to use is the same property from my last long video on how I find potential investment properties. I'll put a link up here if you've not seen that video, but if you haven't, we found a property in Lincoln that's listed for about 145k, and based on the recent solds nearby, I'm penciling in around a 175k after repair value once all the renovations are finished. Funnily enough, even though it was listed since late June, someone's actually gone ahead and bought the property on the 30th of October. Maybe it was one of you guys, let me know if it was. But anyway, to try and make this video as useful as possible, even though I've done quite a few refurbs over the years myself, I'm going to try and avoid making experience-based guesses on estimations. Instead, try to look at it through beginner's eyes, so you can follow the same process as me from start to finish. But before we get into the numbers, here's the actual plan. I haven't actually viewed this property for real, so we'll do a mock viewing using the online photos, the floor plan and street view. I'll fill in my property viewing checklist so you can see exactly how I assess each room. Once we've gone through the viewing, I'll take the filled out checklist and build a full renovation scope from it into my spreadsheet line by line. Both my checklist and my spreadsheet are available for free on my website. I'll put a link down below. The finish level that I tend to go for on my properties is higher quality rental. So clean, durable, mid to upper range materials, not luxury, but not offensive colours either. I also tend to splurge on the white goods from decent brands with longer warranties. It's not essential, but I find it reduces the long-term hassle. We'll also cover contingency. So I usually add around 15% for a basic cosmetic job and then up to 25% contingency if there are any unknowns or anything looks questionable, like major damp patches or major cracks in the walls. But once you've got a bit of experience under your belt, you can often trim this contingency down, but it's always worth having a buffer to protect your cash. By the way, if you're enjoying these videos that I'm releasing, please give it a like and subscribe if you're not already. It does tell me what videos are working for people and what aren't. So if you're genuinely finding it helpful, then that goes a long way. Right. Quick bit of context before we start properly. Like I said earlier, this property's been listed for 145k, and as it was on for a while, I would hopefully negotiate maybe 10% off, so possibly a purchase price of 130 to 135k. The key thing now is whether the renovation cost that we're going to be estimating still leaves enough headroom for a sensible BRRR refinance. That's where you buy, refurbish, rent out, and then refinance at the end to pull some, hopefully most of your money back out. As a rule of thumb, to do BRRR, you're typically looking for a 30 to 40% uplift in property value if you can. So like for this property, going from 135k to 175k requires a 35% uplift. It is achievable if done right, and I've done it in the past. So let's see how I'd actually go about that. And we'll start with a mock viewing. I'm going to go through all the photos and floor plan, fill out my checklist live, and we'll see what sort of work it looks like it needs. Okay, so here's my checklist. It's a PDF, again, you can get it on my website, it's totally free. And I take this to every viewing that I do because it reminds me of stuff I need to check. Even though I've probably done hundreds of viewings at this point, I still take this or have it on my phone because there's likely something I'll miss. So to begin with, we're going to start by looking at the exterior of the property. Now, I usually turn up to viewings quite early, so it gives me a chance just to look around the exterior of the property, at least the face of it, without an estate agent just hanging around and breathing down my neck. So I'm looking for any subsidence concerns or cracks in the exterior structure. I'm looking at the gutters and the pipes. I'm ensuring that they're level plumb, free from cracks or blockages. And I also look to check there's no like algae behind them because that could show signs of leakage through the pipes. Chimney, the roof, any damp on the walls and security. So let's have a look at that. Now this is the best photo we have of the front of the property. This viewing would be in person, so I would be able to stand there and look at things in detail. But because I'm not, I'm going to do street view as well. Now a top tip for street view, you can actually change the date to look in the past, especially if the photo's like this and it's not a very good one. So if I just flip back to 2021, I can see the property in a much clearer photo. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Windows look double glazed. I'm assuming they're a smoker because it's, or it could be magnolia curtains, I don't know. But the bricks look pretty good. The neighbouring property has a lot better pointing, but these aren't too bad really. And yeah, it looks like we share a gutter pipe for this one and this property. And it seems fine. Paint's coming off a bit. The soffit and fascia look alright from what I can tell. And although there looks to be a bit of moss build-up on the chimney, it looks nice and straight. No visible cracks on the exterior, no sign of damp. Should we see if we can look around the back as well? Yeah, nothing too worrying here. Like I can't see any algae build-up from potentially drain pipes leaking. The roof looks nice and straight, for this roof line, so that's a good sign. Sometimes you see them dipping in the middle, especially if the beams are rotting. I don't know if they're beams, I can't remember what they're called, trusses, rotting. So yeah, overall, the exterior looks okay. I'm saying no repaired tiles here because sometimes for properties, especially with slate tiles, you can see that they put a replacement hook in underneath for when tiles have slipped off, which is completely normal. But it's actually quite nice to see that none of the tiles have slipped. Oh, another top tip, when I'm viewing properties, if I can't quite see well enough, you know, like tiles from a distance, I actually use my phone. So I can put my phone higher than my head, I can take a photo, and especially with modern iPhones these days, they've got such good cameras that you can zoom in and see in really good quality what the condition of something is. So if I go onto like my high res mode, I'll take a photo higher than my head of the roof, and I can zoom in to any tiles that, you know, are raising my suspicions. Damp on walls, no signs, and security. So there's no gate at the front, and the door itself looks okay with its latches. It could do with well, actually maybe the door needs replacing. It does add good value when you have a nice new composite door. So I'm going to say door handle needs replacing, possibly entire door. Fencing. And what's the fencing like? This is all okay, doesn't need anything doing to it. I mean, you could put an iron railing there on top, but I don't think it really needs it. Sometimes you have potential renters with motorbikes, so you could think about knocking that out and giving them a space to put their motorbike or their bicycle. You could even put like a little bike locker here. I tend to find that people find that really useful. Or even a bin cupboard. In the last property I did a bin cupboard there as well. Looks like it's a shared entrance between these two properties actually. It's both 22 and 24. Oh, someone's got some parking tickets. So it looks like this was just the boxed off bit there, and then in 2025 they have extended it to reach up here. Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, and here you can see the completed building. Okay, I can't see any photos of the rear door quite well, but it looks like you're gonna have possibly a UPVC one to match the windows, so I'm imagining that's UPVC. Rear door, okay. Now we're onto the fencing, as I mentioned. This is a brick wall, it's okay, we can replace that trellis. You don't own this fence here. I see. Okay, so it's a doorway. This front door is a doorway which comes through the alleyway and must go into the side of the house. So if we look at the floor plan, yeah, the front door is to the right. Interesting. Okay, so that's how they've done it. And you own the front portion of the property that covers over the doorway, and I assume the property to the left owns the rear portion. Cool. Right, so that's interesting to know. So this is actually an alleyway. If I go back to street view, we should be able to see that other property. Yeah, see that these ones are just permanently open. Yeah, they all pretty much are except the one that we're looking at. So this is just a simple door that goes through to an alleyway, and then you have a door on the right and a door on the left as well for alleyway. And then for the fencing, front was okay and the rear is okay too. Nothing needs to change there really. Security. This is okay. Any drainage issues? Doesn't look like there's been much build-up of drainage. I'll say that's okay. Cracks in the concrete. I check for knotweed with my app, which is called Plant ID. I use Plant ID for the properties that I'm checking for knotweed for, even for stuff like, you know, that's a nice plant outside, I wonder what it is. Is it a rose bush or is it something that I can just chop down? So I was going to say that's all okay. Check with Plant ID app. Overall condition, pretty good. Let's check out the neighbouring properties as well. These all seem in decent enough condition. Got some peeling paint, but that's all okay. Pretty similar. Incidents, right. Now for incidents, we can check police incident map. Okay, and I am going to look for the postcode of this property. So we are talking about the centre of Lincoln. So I think in general, there's a little bit of a hotspot of issues, but for Rugard Lane itself, only one incident, and this incident was violence and sexual offences, August 2025, so we say one incident. Planned developments, that planned development that we saw in Street View, that's completed, so this is finished, and we can check for any planning permission nearby. Every local council has their own planning website, which you should be able to search. Let's have a look for this postcode. Alright, so someone's changing an HMO on that Rugard Lane. Continued use as an HMO. Continued use as an HMO, use as an HMO. Yeah, nothing here scary at all. This is all just HMO stuff. Now you'd kind of be at the property to assess this, but it is central. I'm going to say okay for area. Anything unsightly. So this is finished. Can't see anything pretty bad. Now checking for flood risk, you can do gov flood maps. Right, we'll do the postcode again, 22 Rugard Lane. So this will tell us overall what the chances are of flooding. Very low, very low, very low, very low. Good. Now on to the interior. So the overall kitchen condition, as we can see from the photos, it's a tear out basically. This is quite an old kitchen. The plug sockets look good, so we'll keep the plugs where they are. I mean, that's enough for people to have their appliances and things on the side. It'd be nice if one was this side, but it is near to the sink if it was. Might keep that oven, looks okay. Might keep the gas hob too. Probably change all the cupboards, the sink, the extractor fan. Yeah, both higher and lower cupboards and the floor. And then maybe add in a dishwasher too here. So if this has got a drain anyway for the sink, we might just have to get some electrical connection to it, but it's otherwise okay. And yeah, we get matching cupboards in here. Now I'd look at possibly knocking through this wall if it wasn't structural. Oven and hob, okay. Tear out, rest. Cupboards and drawers, tear out. Appliances, we'll say functional. Plumbing, we couldn't see any leaks, so no leaks. There was an extractor fan, needs new floor. Damp or mold, none. I think I potentially saw a little bit of mold down here. I can't really tell from the photos, but I assume that will be okay because there's no water running behind here. This might have just been where people have been mopping over time. Lighting and fixtures. Can't really see the lighting, but there's a good window in there and I assume it's going to have a light above. So we'll say okay. Skirting board was okay. Windows were double glazed, so they're okay. And I think we saw as well, yeah, there were no cracks. Perfect. It does look like it needs a clean though. And walls and paintwork needs painting. Bathroom. Overall bathroom condition. Entire bathroom. I mean, it's quite a nice room. I don't see any problems on the walls at all. There's no damp. I suspect under here you might potentially have some rotting floorboards from when the carpets absorb water because there's no shower door. Even if that's happened, it's not too expensive to fix. So we'd update the entire bathroom suite. We put new floor in here and maybe take these tiles off the wall and retile. Fine, but not very attractive. Functioning, we'll assume the water pressure's okay. We'll have tested it when we're there. Does it have an extractor fan? I can't see one, but maybe on the outdoor photos there will be one. That potentially looks like one to me. Could be wrong. This is the bathroom here, but that might be an extractor fan. I'm going to say yes. Floor, none. Lighting and fixtures, good. Skirting boards, good. Windows, good. And we'll say the walls and paintwork, good. The overall electrics, I've been looking at the electrics and they're just above the skirting board in a lot of places. Like this here is a back box that you'd ideally want chased into a wall, but it is acceptable. Now one here is chased into the wall, so that one's fine. These kitchen electrics, they're all fine. That looks like an electric oven possibly, so that should be fine. Yeah, and you've got fairly decent enough. I can see a fuse switch here for the boiler, so that's all fine. These plug sockets are fine. That one possibly needs chasing into the wall up here. These two are okay. Overall the electrics are okay. I'd obviously check the consumer unit and seeing how new or old the consumer unit is and when it was last tested. All okay. Fuse board date. I'm just going to make a guess here saying the wiring's from the 90s and it's okay. Now the boiler. So one thing you can sometimes do is you can take this photo and ask Google what the make and model of that boiler is. Now because I'm recording my screen I can't do that. Now this boiler looks actually alright. I would get it checked out, check it's been regularly serviced, and if it has it should be okay. It looks about the right size for the property and the electrics themselves look okay too. I mean personally I would definitely put this in a cupboard if I was purchasing this place, just to hide it and hide the pipes too. But I think potentially it might be alright. Seems okay. And on it should be written when it was last serviced as well, you'd hope. Last serviced 1 year ago. Hot water flow is okay. We'll say we could not test the radiators. Now planning permission, we're not going to be doing any planning permission here. We didn't see anything on the planning website either. I'm going to say nope, nope, nope. And now when it comes to potentially improving the floor plan, I don't think there's any room for improvement here. You've got quite a big bedroom at the front, but where are you going to put the door to this bedroom if you split it into two? You have to kind of take a chunk out of this here for a hallway and then put two doors in. So I'm going to say there's no way we can really change the upstairs. So nope. Right, now we're going to go room by room. This is the flexible part of the spreadsheet. We're going to say living room. Floor, okay. And yeah, no signs of damp. Plug sockets, okay. Carpet needs replacing. I mean, this fireplace is not offending me. I'd probably paint it, but it's okay. This radiator looks dual panelled, so that's pretty good. I wouldn't need to replace that either. Floor's okay, it's okay. Light fixtures are okay. Skirting boards were okay. Windows we saw from the front at the double glaze, they're okay. Walls and paintwork, he's painting. Oh, we're going to say for the floor, replace carpet. Room 2. Right, we'll do the back room. So this one here, we'd obviously need to replace the carpet. I mean, it looks like it's had water ingress, so it's pretty rotten. So there is damp, big patch of water ingress. So we saw when we were finding this property in my previous video that there is a gutter pipe behind this. So it's very likely that this was clogged, causing a leak down the wall, which you can just about see under this flower pot hook. So I'd check the corner of the soffit and fascia, make sure that it was water protected and this gutter pipe stays clean. Also, that's all cleared now. We've got a source for it, so it's not concerning to me. We know where that damp came from. And as soon as it dries up, we should be okay. Lighting and fixtures were all okay. New lamp shade. It looked like a pretty old lamp in there. Not a fan of this pattern on the ceiling, but realistically, you might be able to skim over that. Might need skimming. They're okay, and the window at the back was okay too. Room 3 is that middle room. Now, the carpet wasn't actually too bad in this one, but I think considering I am redoing the floor, actually no, I'm redoing the floor. So we'll probably do LVT throughout, replace carpet. But otherwise it looked all right. There were no signs of damp or mold in there. This was okay. Skirting boards were okay. Windows were also double glazed. Let me just double check. Yep, they're double glazed, looks pretty good. And the walls and paintwork just need painting. Right, room 4 now. This one. This is the front. That's that built-in wardrobe that we saw on the floor plan. So that one there. And yeah, not a bad room overall. Another double panel radiator. You got some plug sockets around. The carpet just needs replacing. In the corners, I don't see any signs of cracking or damp. So very happy with that one. Replace carpet. Damp mold. It's okay. Fixing, okay. Skirting boards, okay. Windows double glazed as well. That's okay. And the walls and paintwork just needs painting. That was bedroom 1. We've got bedroom 2. This is even better, to be honest. I would consider not even replacing the carpet in this one. For the couple £100 that we're required to do that, is it even worth it? This one's not too bad. And we actually say the floor is okay. Damp mold is okay. There's no signs. Fixtures okay. Skirting board okay. Windows, that was double glazed as well. Okay, and paint is okay. Does this need painting? It's not actually offending me. I'm going to say possibly skip painting as well. Right, now that that's done, imagine we've just got home from the viewing, we've got our filled out checklist, we're going to chuck the kettle on and we'll head into our property investment spreadsheet and start estimating the cost properly. So to begin with, the exterior. What do we actually need to do to this property? Well, there's no signs of subsidence, the pointing's okay, doesn't need repointing. The gutters and pipe look good, chimney looks fine, the roof looks alright. There's no damp on walls, but we possibly need an exterior door. So to be conservative, we're going to say replace exterior door. I'm going to need 1 door. Labour cost, I can possibly do that myself. You sometimes need a certification if it's the main entrance to a property, and this is for insurance purposes. But because it's like the exterior door just to the alleyway, I don't think it actually needs that because you have your other exterior door into your actual property. So I think for that one, I could probably do that myself. It's going to say no labour cost. And if I'm buying a door, I like to buy one from a website called Green Doors, which is used and pre-loved doors where people have put them on. It saves you tons of money, and it's great because you either have ex-demo models or they're just pretty doors that people have decided to remove. So I'm going to say it's like a 700 to 800 width. Yeah, we've got lots of quite nice doors here. Now, to be honest, because I've realised that this is just the exterior door, instead I'll probably paint it. So I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to paint it instead. Paint, door, change, locks. Let's say the materials for that are going to be the hardware and the paint. So I'm going to say about £100. Now for the garden, there wasn't much to do at all really. I think it's just a clean up. So nothing really to do here. Possibly just some equipment. So I'm just going to say £20 for that. Now for the surrounding area is totally fine. Didn't see any issues there. But we get onto the interior. So this is where the majority of costs are going to be. Now the overall condition is pretty much strip out all of the cupboards and drawers, all of the existing plumbing, put stuff still in situ, and then just replace with a brand new kitchen, possibly reusing the same oven and hob. So we'll say replace entire kitchen. Now I like to keep my white goods as separate line items. So we're going to say we need to buy dishwasher, fridge, and keep the oven and hob. Cool. Now for actually estimating the price of a kitchen, the reason why I really like IKEA is because they have a brilliant website, and it's the IKEA Kitchen Planner. Now what you can do is you can get the dimensions of the kitchen, which luckily it's got on this floor plan. And if there's no dimensions on the floor plan, then whilst you're viewing it, definitely record the dimensions. So usually on this viewing checklist, I write down the dimensions next to it. So the 2.39 meters by 2.08 meters. And we'll say we're having an under the worktop oven, because that's what we had, and an integrated extractor hood, which we'll need to buy a new one. I have an integrated fridge. Don't think there's enough space otherwise. And it looked like a double-sided kitchen like that. It's an enclosed kitchen space, fairly square, and I'm going to assume that I can knock out that middle wall. Now we adjust the size of it, 2080 and 2390. Now that actually looks fairly square to me. So I'm going to pull it up to match what I believe is the actual space we're going to be using. I'm going to put in window here, and we'll put in a door, and we'll put in another door into the kitchen like this. There's a water supply for a sink here, and let's see what it says. Now it's not come up with any suggestions here because it's quite a small room, but we can still do it ourselves. Now I like to spend maybe half an hour doing this, you know, dropping in cabinets, things like that. But just to save a bit of time, I'm going to show you a kitchen that I've done before for previous property. It's for a different layout, but it gives me an idea of the price. The reason why it says the price is unavailable is because this would have been an old kitchen suite that IKEA had, but if you put in new appliances and whatever, new cabinets, then it would update with the latest price. So like this was £3,626. And I think in terms of the size of the kitchen, it's fairly similar for the kitchen that we're looking at doing. This does include the oven, the washing machine. So if I delete those, oven, and it's got a fridge freezer here as well. This is more looking like £2,494. So on a spreadsheet, I'm going to say £2,494, and I'm going to do it myself as well. I might just say £200 for like sundries, for any like consumables like bin bags, tape, screws, whatever, glue. And then we also want a dishwasher and a fridge. Now I can look this up and do like AO dishwasher and find something reasonable, like 200 quid or so. But for that size kitchen, I'd probably do a slimline dishwasher, so slimline. Yeah, about 250 quid. I think last time I went for a Sharp, was it a Bosch? £269, let's say 300 quid, £300. And then a fridge, maybe about 200 quid. Cool, so that's the kitchen. Again, I am doing estimations here. I would spend a bit more time on making sure that these numbers were closer to the items I needed, but this video will end up being 5 hours long. So let's just kind of breeze through it. But I wanted to show something different. To do the bathroom, which will be the next room that we want to move on to, if we check our viewing checklist, that was the kitchen. Now we're replacing the entire bathroom. There are tools, I think Wix do one, to estimate bathroom costs through like an online design planner. But I also really like using AI. So for ChatGPT, for example, I can ask it, I'm needing to replace bathroom. It's in Lincoln. The size of the bathroom is 2.39 meters by 2.8 meters. Give me a low, medium, high range of estimate. New toilet, sink, mirror, bath. Do not include the floor or wall painting. And the reason why I'm not including the floor or wall painting is because of estimating that in total for the property. So these are the basic costs here, including the labour behind it too. So 2.5 to 3.5, 3.5 to 5, 5 to 7. And I'd probably go for a medium at this point, so like a solid rental spec with nicer fittings. So if I weren't doing the labour myself, this is what I go for. So I can ask it to refine a bit further, and I can say, I like the medium option, but no need to add labour. So yeah, looking around 800 to 1,200 for the low spec, but I'm looking for a nice rental. So 1,800 to 2,500. So I'm gonna say bathroom suite, let's do 2,500. Like you can follow them up too. So it's looking at B&Q, looking how much a bathroom suite is. So everything is backed up by sources. You can double check those sources and use them to fill in with fairly decent estimates. Now, with tiling, because it's a finishing work, and I'm terrible with the finishing work like that, I'm gonna put tiling in as the labor. So tiling, labor. How much would the labor cost for tiling? And we could probably say, just for being conservative, a high faffy job. So 300 to 400 pounds. Let's put 400 pounds in. So that's the kitchen and bathroom done. We can see that under the floor it might be a bit rotten as well. So replacing some floorboards, it won't be that much, maybe 50 quid. We can look up on B&Q and whatever how much it would cost to get some replacement floorboards. No damp, lighting's all good, walls and paintwork good. Perfect. So next is the overall electrics. On the surface, it looked okay to me. I would actually get an electrician to come in, double check everything as well, but that would be after I put the offer in and after I'd had an offer accepted. But for the electrics, you would need an EICR certificate to be able to rent. We can look up how much these cost, but it's typically about 120 quid. Yeah, between 90 and 300 pounds. 120 quid. And we're going to pretend that the consumer unit was fine and we just need to replace a few of those plug sockets. So we'll say chase plug sockets into wall. And I'm going to get the electrician to do this for me because you do need to be qualified to do electrical work if you're renting out property. You can replace plug sockets in your own property for, you know, if you're living in it yourself, but just err on the side of caution with it because you are talking about live electricity. How much to chase into the wall? 3 plug sockets. Let's go for the high end, 320 to 400 quid. 300 quid of labour, 100 quid of materials. Plumbing seemed okay, the boiler seemed okay. I'm going to be assuming that's still fine. Again, I'd Google or check AI if it wasn't, add that in. Nothing for the development potential. And if we look at all the rooms, the main things are replacing the flooring for them and painting them. Other than that, seems okay, except for the room at the back, but we'll come back to that one. So in every single room, we need it painting and flooring added. For rooms of 42.2 meters squared, 4 rooms total, how much would it cost to buy LVT? Also, for 36.5 meters squared, how much to carpet, including labour? I'll say for the LVT, excluding labour, I'll doing it myself. I just want to add on the square foot of the bathroom because that'll actually be LVT as well, probably. 2.39 times 2.08, 5 square meters. So I'll add 5 square meters to this. I'll subtract 5 square meters from this. How much to paint every room? While that's running, we're going to need to think about this back room and the damp in the back room, which we recorded on room 2. So big patch of water ingress from the gutter pipe behind. We just need the ceiling possibly skimming and replastering at the back. So I'll queue up my next question and say how much to replaster an entire wall that had water ingress and is now dry. Add to that to skim the ceiling. Another thing I just want to check are the doors in the property. So some of the internal doors are okay. Some of them aren't that nice, like this one here. So I'd probably replace that door. So I'm actually going to add for the back room a door replacement. One. Let's say 80 quid for that. And I can do the install myself. So what has AI said? So for the LVT install, that's going to be, let's say, mid-range, so nice rental spec. About 25 to 30 pounds per square meter, pretty good. Let's say 1,820. No labour because I'm doing it, 1,820 pounds. And we'll say this is including bathroom. And then for the entire upstairs bedrooms, carpet. Now I know I said during the viewing that the carpet in the spare bedroom was okay, and it is, but I'm at least budgeting for the worst case scenario when I get there and the carpet's actually not very nice. Again, what using a BTL, £800 of that's probably, I could ask it to break it down, but 250 quid of that is probably labour, £800 the material. So I would probably paint it myself, but I might have someone help me because there'll probably be a lot to do. I'm gonna go for more branded paint. Paint and sundries about 500 quid, so we'll say £400 materials, 100 quid of sundries. And let's add in a bit of labour too, so maybe 500 quid of labour. Yeah, so the lower end, if I just had decorators doing it, £700, 1,400 for the higher end. I think that actually sounds pretty cheap in my experience, but I'm going to trust it for now and just hope that the contingency budget would cover it if it was higher. Brilliant, and we'll ask it our follow-up question about plastering. And what it's come up with is typical 250 to 350 pounds, but I'm going to say it's high and faffy. So let's go worst case scenario and say 450 pounds. 350, that is probably the labour, and then 100 quid of materials. So now that I've got all the line items filled in, we can total everything up, add that contingency, which we do on this page here. I've put in 15%, let's do 25 because I'm assuming this is new to me. We can see overall that the estimated refurbishments are going to cost me £13,980. Now if we swap to the BRRR tab, I can see that in terms of a refinance, I should be leaving £22,000 with those numbers roughly in. And so if it did end up renting for £900 a month, like our research said it might do, that could give a 25% net ROI, which is pretty good. So those numbers are adding up for now, but it's these ones that I mainly pay attention to. So based on now the renovation cost that we've estimated, I would need to sell it for £175,000 just over to make sure that I'm achieving my sought after gross profit increase on property value as a percentage, which is 10%, which is, as we said, 35% above the initial hopeful buying price that we were looking at. And it also tells me that the maximum I can really spend on my refurbishments is £14,800. So almost £1,000 more than the refurbishment cost that I've estimated. But again, this is including the buffer, which is quite a nice one to have, especially when this is the early days of property investment for me. And it looks like the maximum I can possibly pay for this property with the numbers that I've put in is £131,180. So if I were thinking to put an offer in, I would call it the estate agent and say, this is the maximum that I can buy the place for based on the numbers that I've got underneath. And if they say, hey, you know, the vendor says that's not enough, totally fine, and it is understandable. But because we've done our refurbishment costs here, we know this is what it would cost for us to get it into the shape that we expect the after repair value to be. So you'd have to move numbers about to make it work otherwise. And if they're just not budging or the numbers aren't working otherwise, then I usually walk away from the deal, because if it's going to be a bad investment for me, I'm not living in the property, I shouldn't have any emotional attachment to it, and I could just look for something else. So that's the process I use before offering. I view the property, I complete my checklist, I build out my renovation scope properly, I use AI ranges with context if it's something that I'm completely unsure about, but I always tend to budget for the upper end, and then I finally add a sensible contingency based on the confidence of my estimations. If the numbers are only working with no buffer, I have to reduce the offer or I pass entirely, because it's telling me that's probably not going to be a good investment for the risk that's involved. So thank you for watching, and as I've mentioned, all the tools that I've used in this video are completely free, so you can absolutely do this yourself. My investment spreadsheet and my viewing checklist can be found on my website. I'll put a link in the description below. And again, if you found this useful, please give it a like and subscribe. I'll probably be doing a few more long form videos in the future going into more details of the purchase process. So next up, I think it'll be the offering, the actual purchasing, and then finding the finance. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.